All right, so as the title suggests, today I'm giving you all 15 fragrances in my collection from Middle Eastern fragrance brands that, in my opinion, at least for me, they replace the original fragrance that they're actually cloning. All right. So just to get straight into this video, make sure that it's not too long for you all. I'm going to start the video off with Absolute Gold from Fragrance World. All right. So this is a Goldmer Absolute clone from Carolina Herrera. And I mean, at least to my nose, man, this is at least about 95% close, I would say, to the original from Carolina Herrera. You do get a stronger sort of immortelle and licorice note in the original fragrance, but I really love the way that this smells. And I mean, at least in my opinion, there's really not much of a quality difference between this fragrance and the original from Carolina Herrera. Also, the original fragrance is discontinued, so this right now is pretty much your best bet in terms of getting that scent profile. Again, this is going to be Absolute Gold from Fragrance World. All right, so next one is from the house of Lattafa. This is their take on Instant Crush by Mancera, and this is going to be Afkaar from Lattafa. And to my nose, this does smell slightly fruitier than what you get from Instant Crush from Mancera. I would also say this is like slightly stronger than Instant Crush as well. So obviously most of you all know that Instant Crush is not like any sort of slouch when it comes to performance, but I do actually get slightly better performance with this in terms of the projection. And this is pretty much just like I would say more of like a fruitier, sort of youthful, more playful kind of take on like that Baccarat Rouge 540 scent profile. This is definitely, I would say, my favorite take on that sort of scent DNA. And this is, I would say, it goes for about $40 to $45 typically for a 100 ml bottle. So you really can't beat that. Again, this is going to be Lattafa's Afkaar. Next fragrance on the list, this literally did replace my bottle of Parfums de Marly's Leighton. This is going to be Dusk by the Woods Collection. So as some of you all know, I did have a real bottle of Leighton, that I purchased like early last year. And then once I purchased this fragrance and kind of did, a side by side between this and Leighton, even though I admitted that the Leighton did smell slightly better than what this did, I still went ahead and sold my bottle of Leighton and just kept this one because, at least to me, I get about 90% close to the original scent profile. I would say this doesn't give you the exact same opening as what Leighton does with that really sort of mentholated sort of opening. But at least in the dry down, which is pretty much, I would say, most people's favorite part of Leighton, it captures that very nicely. Again, not as good as Leighton, but I would say enough to the point where I did go ahead and sell my original bottle. So this performs really nicely as well. And again, this is going to be Dusk by the Woods Collection. Next one is going to be a clone of another discontinued fragrance, which is 1 Million Prive. And this is going to be Milano Prive by Pandora Scents, which is Paris Corner. And this, to my nose, is about 95% close to 1 Million Prive, pretty much. Especially if you smell these two in the air, I would say there's really no way to tell the difference between this and 1 Million Prive. This also gives very good performance as well. I will have a video on just the overall sort of final thoughts of this fragrance compared to 1 Million Prive. But I would say right now I'm probably getting about anywhere from about 10 to 12 plus hours of total longevity when it comes to this fragrance. So definitely not a slouch at all when it comes to the performance of Milano Prive. And again, this is going to get you at least about 95% close to the discontinued 1 Million Prive. So again, Milano Prive from Pandora Scents. Next one up is going to be a clone of Parfums de Marly's Hautaine, and this is going to be Hartnell from Fragrance World. So I prefer the smell of this fragrance over the Parfums de Marly. This one, just to me, it doesn't smell as sort of herbal and medicinal as what Hautaine does. I get a little bit more saffron from this fragrance, and I feel like the praline note is definitely, it's emphasized a little bit more in this fragrance than what the Parfums de Marly's Hautaine does. This also gives me very good performance as well, 10, 12 plus hours. And overall, I mean, for the price that I paid for this, believe I got this for about $40 from Banadier Fragrance for, I believe this is a 100 ml bottle. You really can't beat that. So again, this is going to be Hartnell from Fragrance World. Next one is also from Fragrance World, and this is their take on YSL's Tuxedo. This is Fragrance World Suits. So Suits, at least in the opening, yeah, it's not going to be as spicy and peppery as what, you know, Tuxedo is, at least in the opening. But pretty much once you get past the opening and you start getting into the mid and the dry down, this smells pretty much identical to YSL's Tuxedo. This also gives me better performance than what Tuxedo does, as well as Maison Alhambra's The Tux, and all of the other sort of, you know, Tuxedo clones that I've smelled. This is absolutely the best performing one that I've smelled so far. The quality is absolutely there. And overall, I really enjoy wearing this fragrance a lot. Again, this is going to be Fragrance World Suits. Next one up is going to be also from Fragrance World, and this is another Louis Vuitton L'Immensité clone, and this is the newest one that I know of anyway. This is L'Infinite from Fragrance World. This is part of their Jack Yves line. All right, so this is 100% closer to L'Immensité than what Jean Lo Immortal is, in my opinion. Jean Lo Immortal definitely has more of sort of like a gingery sort of spice emphasis on the fragrance. It's definitely a beast mode fragrance, so I think that's why a lot of people enjoy wearing that particular fragrance. But if we're talking about just the pure accuracy of the smell and how the two fragrances sort of feel, this absolutely is closer to L'Immensité than what Jean Lo Immortal is. It totally is. I get pretty decent performance on this one, at least 8 hours with wearing this fragrance. So I really love the way that this one smells. And again, if you're looking for a very accurate clone of L'Immensité for, you know, obviously a cheaper price, I would say this is definitely the one to look at. This is L'Infinite from Fragrance World. All right, so the next fragrance is going to be from the house of Rayhan, and this is Rayhan Imperia For Him. This is going to be their take on Creed Aventus. And I just recently, I did also have Armav's Club de Nuit limited edition Parfum. I had that one and actually sold that fragrance because of, you know, how well this one smelled, at least to me. I know obviously there's been some people who have commented on, you know, previous videos saying that they weren't really pleased with the smell of this fragrance, at least on them. I get Creed Aventus with this fragrance. It is slightly sweeter, I would say, than what Creed Aventus is. Maybe just depending on, I guess, the batch of Ventus that you're comparing it to. But overall, this gives me the exact same feel and vibe that Creed Aventus does, and it gives me very good performance as well. All right, at least 8+ hours. So again, definitely check this one out. I was able to pick this one up on Amazon for about $33. Again, this is Rayhan Imperia. All right, so another one here from the house of Lattafa. This is Lattafa's Liam Blue Shine, and this is their take on Acqua di Gio Profondo. All right, so I did go ahead and do a side-by-side comparison between this and Profondo. And this definitely, it smells, I would say, at least about 95%. I would say probably about 92 to about 95% close or so to the original from Armani. This fragrance, where I would say that this fragrance shines over the Armani, is definitely in the projection and the longevity. Those are definitely better, I would say, than what I get from the original Profondo. Profondo, at least on my skin, lasted for about, I don't know, 4 hours or so, 4 or 5 hours. With this one, I'm getting at least about 7 to 7.5. All right, so If you like that Acqua di Gio Profondo scent profile and you're looking for a better performing and cheaper fragrance, then definitely go with Lattafa's Liam Blue Shine. All right, so if you are looking for a cheap alternative of BDK's Gris Charnel, the EDP, this is definitely the one that I recommend. This is Francique 63.55 from FA Paris Fragrance World. This is a very beautiful fragrance. I would say it smells at least about 95% close to the original. The main difference that I would say is the cardamom in the opening smells just ever so slightly better blended in the BDK version of the fragrance. But the main difference between this and the BDK is this actually gives you better performance than what the BDK does. So I typically get around like 7 to 8 hours or so with this fragrance. With the BDK, that's more kind of like around like that 5 hour mark or so, 4.5 to 5 hours. So definitely check this one out if you love BDK's Gris Charnel. This is Francique 63.55. All right, so if you're looking for a beast mode version of Parfums de Marly Setli, this is absolutely one that you want to pick up. This is Posh Sirius from Fragrance World. This pretty much, it smells the same as the Parfums de Marly version, except I would say that the lavender and the mint notes are definitely more amplified in the opening of this fragrance than what they are in the original from Parfums de Marly. But overall, just the projection, the longevity, everything about this fragrance is much better in terms of performance than what you get with the Parfums de Marly. This is just, I would say, Setli on steroids pretty much. So if you're looking for a good performing Setli sort of scent profile, then this is definitely the one that you want to look at, Posh Sirius by Fragrance World. Next up from Paris Corner, this is Killer Oud Nights of Arabia. This is their take on Byredo's Black Saffron. And this is not like a one-to-one clone. This is definitely more of kind of like an inspired sort of twist on the fragrance. The main difference that you get from this is you get a lot more juniper berries, as well as black currant in the opening of this fragrance than what you get with the original Black Saffron from Byredo. You get less leather in this fragrance overall than what you get from the Byredo. So overall, I would say this comes off as being slightly less mature, a little bit more sort of youthful and playful. And just overall, I would say slightly more mass appealing than the Byredo. And that's why I like this fragrance. It also gives you very good performance. I would say at least about 8 hours or so. So again, this is going to be Killer Oud Nights of Arabia from Paris Corner. All right, and so the last three fragrances, these are all going to be Dior Prive collection fragrances or clones of those fragrances. So this one is going to be Amber Night from Perfumery Prive Zara, which is a part of Paris Corner. This pretty much, at least for me, it gives me the same experience for the most part as Ambre Nuit from Dior. Now, the sample of Ambre Nuit that I did a comparison of the fragrance with, that particular sample that I had of the original, I feel like it was the original formulation, which was definitely a lot more sort of rose heavy, especially in the opening. But pretty much once that goes away, you get like this really sort of fizzy, ambery, slightly rosy sort of scent. It's a very sexy, I would say, nighttime sort of scent, which obviously, amber night. So, that definitely coincides with that. But I would say in terms of performance, this gives me about 7 or so hours of total longevity. It does give pretty decent projection, I would say, at least for about the first hour and a half. And again, overall, it gives me pretty much the exact same experience that I get from Ambre Nuit. All right, so again, this is Amber Night from Perfumery Prive Zara. All right, the next one is going to be from Maison Alhambra, and this is their take on Dior's Tabacular. This is Tabac. And I mean, pretty much in terms of performance, you're not going to get cheated out of your money when it comes to this fragrance. This is going to give you beast mode performance, pretty much, I would say, on par with the original fragrance. The main difference that you get between this and the original is, I would say, the original fragrance, it has more of a smoother, sweeter sort of opening than this fragrance does. This one definitely comes off as being a little bit more greener and earthier and slightly rougher around the edges, I would say, in the opening. But pretty much in the dry down, they're indistinguishable. They perform pretty much the same. You're going to get 12 plus hours with either fragrance, and it's going to perform like a beast. All right. So again, if you like really sweet tobacco scents with honey, some slight florals, then again, Tabac, this is absolutely going to be one that you want to pick up from Maison Alhambra. All right, and then the last fragrance on this list, this is going to be from the house of Paris Corner Amir. This is their take on Fave Delicieuse, and this is Frenetic Delicieuse. All right, so Frenetic Delicieuse, I mean, pretty much there's not going to be too many differences really that you can pick out between the two fragrances. This is, I would say, probably the best Dior Prive collection clone that I've smelled so far. Obviously, I haven't smelled all of them, but I would say this is probably the best one just overall. And it gives you the exact same, I would say, experience that you get with Fave Delicieuse pretty much. You know, that really sort of sweet, gourmandy, powdery sort of feel that you get from, you know, the original, really warm. So this is absolutely going to be one that you'll want to reach for like in the cooler months. I would say it does lean slightly feminine, but I mean, I have no problem wearing this fragrance at all. You just have to like sort of sweeter gourmand types of fragrances. And I mean, for the price of about $35 or so, which is normally what I see this go for, this is going to be your best bet when it comes to that Fave Delicieuse scent profile, as the original is discontinued. So again, if you're looking for that scent profile and you're not wanting to pay hundreds of dollars, definitely check out Paris Corner Amir's Frenetic Delicieuse. All right, so that is the list, man. That's the list of 15 fragrances that I have in my collection that replace the original pretty much. I have no desire to go out and buy the original fragrances of any of these clones because these clones do everything that I need them to do, at least for me. So definitely let me know in the comments, do you agree with my list of, you know, fragrances that replace the original fragrances? Do you feel like, you know, out of all of these fragrances, you know, if you've smelled any or all of these fragrances, do you feel like you don't really get the urge to really go out and buy the original fragrance? All right, let me know in the comments. Also, if you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. And again, that's Jamar from Vegas Scents. I'll see you on the next video.